G'day, legends, and welcome to the Pot Noodle. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight is Shane. How you going, Shane?
G'day, g'day. Yeah, really good, thanks, mate. Another packed weekend full of sport, which I always enjoy. So, got to indulge in both basketball and football yesterday along Swan Street, Richmond. So, really pumped, and two wins as well. The Phoenix got a W, and then watched the Victory win 2-1 as well. So, feeling pretty pumped. And then that came on the back of the result early Sunday morning for us, I think, from Hampden Park.
How good was that winner for victory? Just have to say that he's hit it from the closer to halfway than the goals, and it's gone flying in. Check out, was it
Reno
Piscopo?
Piscopo, yeah.
Yeah, I can't say his name properly. Check out his goal, everyone, if you get a chance. But yeah, it's good fun. So yeah, had a bit of a interesting result on the weekend, as you've touched on there, Shane, over at Hampden. So we're talking about that quite a bit today. So I'll just bring up some comments here before we start. So McLaughlin with the Kangaroos, loving it. Smell the glove. Hail, made it this morning. Happy days, buddy. Happy days. I hope you've hit that notification. Evening all from Andrew Galea. Hail, lads from my missus. And McLaughlin, as close to perfection as you'll get on a Saturday night. And smell the glove. Great to put the sheep back in their pen. So that's a good one, actually. I've got to keep that one in the back pocket for some point for our episode title. So, yeah, it was a bit of a doozy for us. It was like, what was it, like a 4:30 kickoff or something like that, wasn't it? I can't remember. I I tried my best to get up for it, and the alarm went off, and then next thing I know, I thought, snooze, I've got 15 minutes, I'm good. Next thing I know, I look at the score, it's the 84th minute, and I'm like, yeah, not ideal. So good news to wake up to. Watch the replay while on my lunch break. So today, yeah, it could be a bit of an interesting one. So I'm going to lean on you for the game analysis here, Shane. So what I want to start off with is that starting lineup that we had. I'm just getting it up on my phone now because yeah, it's a bit of a. There wasn't too many shocks there, to be honest. It was more a matter of, okay, who's going to be in the back line. And looking at the lineup where we had Schmeichel in goals, Alistair Johnson, Carter Vickers and Trusty, so Team America in the centre backs, and then Valle out on the left, Engels, McGregor, and Hatade in the middle, and then up front, Kyogo, Maeda, and Kun. So I'm thinking, looking at that, that is a pretty bloody strong lineup. So I'm going to start off, Shane. Is that our strongest lineup that you think we've got with this current squad?
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe previously, and you can probably still have the debate around whether Scales or Trusty is preferred. But so far, and I'm trying to avoid the Trusty puns as much as possible, but I'm
Do it.
no
You know
doubt
you want to.
I'm going to fall into that trap, no doubt, at some point. But he's been solid. He's been reliable. And I think Brendan wants to see that partnership between him and CCV grow, as you called it, Team America. Can't say the next words I want to say after it just yet. But no, I think that really is. And then you've got Via on the left, who I've been really impressed with since he's come in and got a start. Yeah, I was thinking pretty much the same thing as I was watching that the first half. That I thought this is pretty much our strongest 11 right now.
It's just been one of those ones as well, Shane, where we're looking at it going, most weeks it's like, okay, what's the midfield lineup rotation going to be? You automatically think it's Scales at left centre back. Trusty's been playing out of position and he struggled the first few games, but then he started to build a good relationship with Scales playing on the right centre half. And then you put CCV and you push Trusty across to his natural position. And I'm not going to, be wax too lyrical on it, but he just looks more comfortable. It's obvious that that is his natural position. It's just that little bit, he doesn't looks a bit less clunky there. So it was yeah. So the centre back thing, unfortunately, if you look at Scales and then you look in the midfield, it's who's the odd man out? Because it's absolutely brilliant that we've got options here where we can rotate. We've got Scales as a starting quality player for us. Trusty is Carter Vickers is, so he can rotate guys in and out. And, if CCV gets a knock or whatever, we're not really losing anything. And it's the same in the middle of the park. It's horses for courses here. Like, who do you want to put in there? Does Bernardo start? Does McCowan start? Does Engels start? Does Hatate start? There's 4 guys looking for 2 spots alongside Kelmac when he's fit. So, yeah, it's one of those ones where I think we've got an absolute plethora of options there. And it's funny looking at that lineup and going, like, I'll be honest, we look at it probably 2-3 weeks after the transfer window shut, and we all would have been, oh yeah, what's Brendan doing? There's none of Brendan's signings from this year in the team, and now you're looking at it, you've got Casper in goals, you've got Trusty and Via in there, you've got Engels in there, and then you've got a Brendan signing from last year in Kun, who's probably been our best player so far this season. So that's 5 of our starting 11 signings that Brendan's arranged and brought in. So I'm thinking he's getting a bit of a better strike rate this time around than last time. And he started off well last time around, Shane, when it was Dembele and Sinclair and who's the other one again? Colo Torre.
Well, I think the other thing, just to touch on your point about the midfield and the fact that we've got a number of options there, is also the dynamic that we can switch to in midfield as well. Hatate brings something entirely different, in my opinion, to what Bernardo does. And we'll touch on the game shortly, but the way that we played on the weekend and the way that Aberdeen set up, it was much more suited to the way that Rio plays and the skill set that he brings to our team than, in my opinion, Bernardo. That's not saying Bernardo wouldn't have done well, but it was just a better game for Rio to take control of. So being able to have those, as you said, horses for courses, being able to go, this is going to be a match where I think we're going to need Bernardo and Engels as 2 bigger bodies in midfield, maybe a bit more of that control and quality on the ball than necessarily the kind of all out looking to sort of spray passes left and right, and that not erratic, but more kind of creative and willingness to bite off a pass that Hatate does. So, yeah, just that ability to be able to switch between different, not necessarily styles, but different players in the midfield to complement each other is really pleasing.
I'm going to go on that little tangent there, Shane, that you brought up, because bringing up Hatate, he was one that I had down for my player focus later on, but since we're talking about it, it makes more sense to get into it now. Smell the Glove has basically got a good comment here, which is Hatate looked happy on that pitch on Saturday. And the thing for me is what I'm looking at with Hatate is, okay, I think he's found his position in the midfield rotation. He doesn't have to drop deep now. Brendan's got him playing in that 10 role. And when it was him and O'Reilly playing as like one goes forward, one holds like that, it worked. But with his passing range and getting into that area of the pitch, he seems more settled there. When you've got an Engels alongside him who's a natural 6, and you've got Kelmac who's a natural 6 or an 8 there. So if you've got those guys behind him willing to do the extra running, Hatate can be that luxury. He can play that Tom Rogic role that Brendan had first time around, where you just get him in that position and he can create. And he just actually looks happy. And we haven't seen this in a while. Like, there's been talks, he wants to go down to Brighton with Matoma and all this sort of stuff. And I think he looks happy playing. And I think Brendan has coached a lot of some bad habits out of him as well. I'll give credit on that front.
Yeah, he looked really happy on the pitch against Aberdeen. And it was just all the qualities that we're so familiar from seeing from him. That ability to just spray the balls out left and right instantly first time. That willingness to play the balls through when need be. He's the one that looks to bite off that pass. He's not going to take an extra touch. He's going to look to play it straight away. And the way that Aberdeen was setting up, I don't want to get into too much detail about the game just yet. He really benefited from the way that they were set up. And I think that's also a credit to Brendan to go, I want to lean on his creativity and what he brings to this team, because I think I'm going to sense how they're going to set up, and therefore I'm going to expose them. And he did.
Talking about Brendan and his tactics and everything, like, look at what happened after Dortmund. We got slaughtered, and then we go away in Bergamo, and we learnt the lesson. And this one here, we were in the position where 3-0 up at half time. we didn't really back off, did we? We
Not at
learned our
all.
lesson and went at him again and again and again. So, yeah, it was a good one all round. But yeah, I just think Hatate looks settled. He looks like the Rio of old. And when was the last time we saw him play a full 90 minutes for us? Is either that guy playing a 60 and coming off, or is the guy coming on for the last 30? So the fact that he played a full 90 minutes will do him good as well.
Yeah, no, definitely best game of the season by far, but most complete performance from him, as you're saying. For I can't remember how long, to be honest with you, but he was a joy to watch.
So I'm gonna jump into the first half, right? So I'll let you get into the nitty gritty in a minute. I just want to start off with Jimmy Thalen. Given him an absolute rap in previous pods with what he's done at Aberdeen, and credit where it's due, I like the fact that they actually came out to play. All right, and they had a crack at us because it's a cup semi. You're not going to get into the final unless you come and play football. So credit where it's due. But the way his team came out and was just going the clutter and just absolutely leveling blokes, it was almost like Derek McInnes was in charge of Aberdeen again. What was your thoughts on the first half overall, Shane?
Well, I thought from the first whistle we played really well. I loved the intensity we were playing with. I loved the energy in which and the tempo that we were playing at and the way we were passing the ball. Um, it was interesting watching those initial sort of 5 to 10 minutes and the way that they were setting up to trying to counteract us and what they were doing. And they were definitely going to come out and have a go. But they were pushing really high up the park. They definitely weren't sitting deep, and they were happy to sort of try and go a little bit toe to toe to us, or toe to toe with us, I should say. Geez, toes are getting a good run this week, or toenails. But what I was finding is that very quickly and early on, that when they would get the ball forward and we'd win it back, once we got through that initial press, there was a lot of space in midfield for us to sort of play through. I felt like that their structure completely broke down and we took advantage of it. And not only was that the way they were playing, and I think that the gaps between the lines were too much, but it was also due to the movement of our midfield three. So you've got Calmac dropping deep. He's getting on the ball and distributing. You've got Hatate going a bit deeper, dragging Shinny with him. Engels buzzing around all over the pitch. And I thought that movement was causing their midfield a lot of havoc, and we were getting a lot of joy playing through them. I thought their back four held up pretty well. And for the first sort of 25 minutes or so, as much as we were dominating the game and had control of the game, we hadn't really created any gilt-edged chances. And it was really that moment of, I guess, kind of work ethic from Kun to win the ball back on the right, knock it past a few, whip a ball in, that led to us getting the first goal because he puts the ball in, Aberdeen don't clear their lines. Something that I think we did really well, just to come back to that, is they continually wanted to play out and we sweated on them really well. I thought we pressed them very well and made them into a lot of unforced errors. And that ended up leading to the first goal because that drew the corner. And so on an overall perspective, I felt like very early on we had their measure and I couldn't really see them getting back into the game the way they were playing. And if anything, I thought as the first half wore on, the goals came more or less from the way that they'd set up and how we'd actually, I guess, counteracted that, if you will.
Makes sense. And yeah, it was one of those like, how many times have we played and we haven't taken our chances this season? Where we look at our shot on the stats at half time or at full time, and it's like Celtic 21 chances made, 3 on target, or four on target, or 18 shot attempts, 6 on target. And then this one here, it was good to see that we were clinical when we got a chance. Like we didn't create much. We were wasteful. Like up until that first goal, Maeda, he absolutely fluffed one. And there was a couple of other times where we could have pushed forward and gone at it and we didn't. So yeah, it was like once we got that first chance and that delivery from that corner for that header, wow. And CCV just monstered. Who did he jump over? Was it their left back, wasn't it? What's his name again? Mackenzie. Absolutely just towered over him and just whack straight in. Great header. Like, And then our guys, you can see, once that goal went in, our guys just relaxed a little bit and settled down, and then off we went.
I was on mute there. Not to harp on about them a little bit, as I have done already, but you know, we get the set piece. It's a great ball in from Engels. It's a wonderful corner, great delivery, great spot. Keeper doesn't know whether to come for it or not. But really, there's only two players on our team that are probably going to score from a corner, get up and head the ball in: CCV and Trusty. That are on the pitch.
I thought we're on the pitch. Good, there you go. I was
See,
just like,
that's I could see you shaking your head. I thought I'd better clarify just in
oh,
case.
don't leave out the Ginger Baresi, okay?
Well, obviously Adam Eder too if he comes on as well. But on the pitch at that time, there's only two of them. And CCV, for all intents and purposes, he just gets a free header, really. He jumps all over Mackenzie fairly. There's nothing in it. There's no foul there or anything. But he's able to far too easily get up and nod his head on it. And it was an important goal because, as you said, we dominated the game up until that point, but we hadn't created any gilt-edged chances, and we had been a bit wasteful. You had Maeda mess up a few, and he put that ball across the box that Kun would have had to mean Superman to head in, and then Engels took a flying shot that went over the bar. We hadn't really created anything that sort of really drew a save from Mitov up until that point. And then from that point forward, as you said, we settled and we were really clinical.
Yep, makes perfect sense. And then we get to the second goal. I'm just going to get into that, Shane, because it's easier than going through the whole half than getting into each individual goals. So I just love the fact that we've been talking I think on the Thursday session in particular, where you get Kyogo and you get Maeda in situations where they don't look to pass to each other, or they've got their head down or whatever. Who was it that set up the pass back to Kyogo for that goal? Was it Kun or was it Maeda?
It was so the ball came in square from the back line. It was a sort of a square ball back because it had just come from an Aberdeen corner. Their only corner of the first half led to us getting our second goal. So they played it back. Maeda nicks in, flicks it to Kun. Kun plays Maeda in perfectly. He goes forward, and then he plays it to Kyogo, who rifles it in.
And that's what I thought because, I'm looking at it going, Kyogo scores, assist Maeda, and we don't see enough of those two linking up. It's like they both seem to, like, I've seen people on other pods and on Twitter and all this sort of stuff carrying on that, Kyogo doesn't want to pass to Maeda because he doesn't want him to look good for the Japan team and all this sort of absolute bollocks, right? And that right there put an end to that because the fact that Maeda got the ball with his speed, he could have gone past someone and had a shot, but he's turned it around, just laid it back to Kyogo, who's then just blasted it in. Yeah, it was great to see the teamwork up there and then the celebration where everyone's getting around it.
Well, I mean, credit to Maeda as well. We talked earlier in the pod about a couple of chances where he was wasteful. And then, he's got a march on the defender that's come back with him. He could probably skin him and get in on goal and have a bit of a, not a great opportunity to score, but draw a save out of Mitov. But instead, he's patient. He turns on the ball. He realises Kyogo's there and he lays it off perfectly for him so he can hit it. So that was really good on Maeda to sense the situation and go, no, I can actually, instead of having a half chance here, I can wait. I can play Kyogo in. And all the credit to Kun as well. Like, that's an inch perfect pass from pretty deep to play Maeda in. Now, he's fast. He's probably going to get on the end of any ball that you play forward, right? But it was just weighted so perfectly. He, I know we'll get into player focus later, but Nicholas Kun had another tremendous game.
100%. And then the third goal, yet again, just great teamwork across the front. Kun sets it up. Maeda gets his second. And then, I just thought it was just class all around. All three of our goals in that first half were just class.
Just highlighted the quick movement and the way we were playing. So that ball comes into Hatate. He had no hesitation, sprays it out to the right, and the build-up happens from there. We're instantly looking to attack. There's no sort of let's just put our foot on the ball and wait till half-time. It's pretty much put the foot on the throat. Let's get that third goal. Let's put this tie to bed, basically. And, it's, again, a wonderful ball from Kun. straight in, mate. All he's got to do is just finish, and he does. So, yeah, you could wax lyrical about all of the goals, to be honest with you. They were all quality across both halves. But yeah, it was overall 3-0 going into halftime. You couldn't help but stand and applaud that overall team performance.
Yep, 100%. Also in the first half, was that when Brendan went for a bit of a slip and copped a yellow for kicking
Yes.
the ball away? Because Craigie Wide here is saying that Brendan slip would have went to VAR. Like, I think he needs to get some studs in his shoes, mate.
My favourite part of it was that he'd slipped over and his instant reaction to turn to the crowd behind him, put his hands up, like, I'm all right, I'm okay, I'm totally fine. And then what's Clancy doing coming over, giving him a card? Come on,
Kicked the
Kevin.
ball away, Shane.
I know, but you've got to have a little bit of a sense of occasion. I thought it was harsh, and then I looked at the footage today and thought, even if he doesn't slip, he's probably putting that in the center circle. He kicked it with that much force. But I thought it was a little harsh. I did like the little still of the image with Kevin sort of like sheepishly smiling as he hands out the yellow to him. But yeah, solid tumble, but glad he's okay.
It's good fun. So, Heavy Vibes is saying there was a really bad tackle on Kun before that goal as well, which we didn't touch on. Yeah, it should have been. Is that the one that should have been the red, wasn't it?
Geez, there was a couple of them though. Like there was a
I don't
couple
know
in the
which one
first
to
half
remember.
before. Calmac was the first one to pick up a booking for something that didn't even look like he clipped the Don's player. He just went down after he lost the ball, and there was a couple before that. Like Shinny was into one, and I can't remember who the other one was. Was it Helton Nilsson? I think the other chap was, and it was like he could have been off. Seriously, he had a couple of goes. I thought they were I thought Kevin was very, very generous with his lack of card showing in the first half.
That Nelson bloke as well. Like last time we played him, he was just like, it's gonna sound funny, but last weekend when we were playing, trying to say mental blank here. Or midweek, that's the
Dundee.
Yeah, when we played Dundee, there was like we played, and whenever someone fouled, we got fouled by someone. There was always another player that was just constantly there. It was either him clattering him or he was like right next to it. And what I found in the last time we played Dundee, whenever we got fouled, Nelson was either there or he was right next to it. So he seems to be that sort of player. So every club needs one of them. That bit of a hard man, someone to kick lumps out of someone. I'm not going to complain, especially when over here in the A-League, Victory fans. So we had Muscat and everything. So can't really make much of a judgment call here. But yeah, I'm just going to bring up a couple of comments here, Shane, as well. So Big Rab is saying, hail guys, everyone needs to claim that the reaction is a bit over the top. It's just Aberdeen. It was only weeks ago we got humbled. Now, Rab, the reason I'm talking this up is because we made it tougher for ourselves last time and we shared the points against Aberdeen. They're the only other undefeated team in the league, and during the week they smacked a certain other club, as we're all aware of, right? So if push comes to shove at the moment, who's the team that's going to be challenging us at the top of the table? It's Aberdeen. So the fact of the matter is, yeah, I get what you're saying, 100%, but it's the way we played the game, not the opponent, and why we're waxing lyrical about this.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head for me. It's the manner in which we played. Like to actually go and watch that 90 minutes. This wasn't a fluke win. This wasn't a 6-0 completely down to their inability to play. This was us dominating a game against a team that only a couple of weeks ago took a point from us at Parkhead, undefeated in the league, as you said, Jared. And coming into this game would have actually fancied themselves about getting something, or at least jagging a win, or at least taking it to extra time. So if you put all those things together, and then for us to go out and play in the manner in which we did, and literally play in that same manner for the full 90, I think you can't help but be overjoyed at the performance and want to wax lyrical about it.
Yep. So we've got some comments here. Big Dom responded to that as well. saying, let us enjoy the quality performance. That's all we're doing. Talking about the red cards, Dominic saying, Soccer had a nasty one on Valle, raked his studs down his chest. Completely forgot about that one. Heavy Vibes is saying, never play down a win. Now, Heavy Vibes, are they your dogs in the picture? Let me know in the comments, please. I've been looking at them every time you comment the last few weeks going, there's some nice looking dogs there. But anyway, Big Dom's also said here, never seen Brendan show his emotions like that when we were 3-0 up too. Yeah, it's good to see. Coming out of his shell a bit. Like last year, he was very reserved. So, and Smell the Gloves got the best comment of the lot here. According to brother Bobby Madden, Brendan should have got a red. Oh, I have to laugh at that. Yeah, so Andrew Galea is saying here, we got it wrong on Cop 7. Aberdeen got it wrong on Cop 6. So there you go. It's the same sort of thing. Yep. So, yeah, Shane, second half. Chat about that and rolling into the goals.
Well, we've already touched on the most pleasing thing about the whole game, and this was really the pleasing thing about the second half. We go in at halftime 3-0 up. We've got a Champions League tie coming up midweek. You'd be forgiven for thinking that maybe there might have been a sense of preservation or, okay, let's just control the game from here. But at no point did that ever really eventuate. In fact, from the very first whistle, we basically went at them again and continued to do so for the remainder of the match. And very shortly after half time came the fourth goal. And again, it was just all through a little bit of grift on the right-hand side. You've got Engels, who we haven't really spoken about. And I thought probably of the midfield three seemed to be the one that was out of the limelight the most, and yet he was involved in about 5 or 6 of the goals. It was actually incredible what he got up to. Rewatching the highlights today, but he wins. You're going to jump in?
I've got something to add to you. Anyone here who watches the ice hockey in America, right? You've got your assist, so the person who passes to the goal scorer, and then they have what they call the hockey assist. So the assist to the assist, right? They count that because it takes like 2 good passes to make something happen. In this game, we scored 6. I honestly think Engels would have had 3 of the hockey assists.
Yeah,
Kuhn would have had the other 2.
Yeah, he was tremendous, and he's vital to that work on the right hand side and link up with Kuhn, who gets the ball in, and then he's coming in and then gets the shot off, gets in behind, gets the shot off. Mitov can only parry it basically into the path made, and literally just all he has to do is just tap it in. And at that point, you're going, no, we really are going for the throat here. This we're not going to let up at all. And that pretty much continued on. And then. Pardon me, sorry, just getting repositioned here. And then you had the sort of the fifth goal, which we moved into later. Again, Engels is involved. He gets the ball at the edge of the box. He initially tries to play a little back heel, which we saw later on for the 6th goal anyway. That doesn't come off. But what I loved about him was his awareness to go, I've got Kuhn on my outside here. I'm going to play him in instead of blazing away. Plays it to Kuhn. He makes himself available at the top of the box as well, so you can play it back. Kuhn just feeling supremely confident, like he should after the season he's had. Absolutely rifles it in though, and yet what I loved about Engels is he's waiting for the ball back. He couldn't celebrate any harder when Kuhn scored. It was wonderful. And then we just kept going, and in the end, the 6th goal was when we had the subs come on. And so you had obviously AJ wasn't a sub, but then you had Bernardo come in. Again, Hatate plays it into Bernardo. I'm pretty sure it's Hatate, who then gets to Bernardo, who just a little back heel, lovely little back heel onto Johnson, who's made a run in behind. And all he has to do is square it to Maeda to get the hat trick. It was, honestly, any of the 6 goals could be your pick of the goal of the match. They were all tremendous in their own individual way. I don't even know if I could pick a favourite. It's like trying to pick a favourite child. Which of your favourite 6 goals was the one that you liked the most? I don't know. I can't tell you. But no, in all, I'm getting a little bit flippant now. But in all seriousness, it was just a tremendous performance overall. And even then, we're talking about how it never let up. That 6th goal, you've got a couple of the subs involved in the build-up as well. Jamesy gets involved a little bit earlier down the line. So you bring your subs on, and they're getting involved as well. It was a tremendous full 90 minutes of performance.
You want to know what I find funny? And it's going to sound the most ridiculous tangent thing ever. Even at like 4, 5 in the morning, whatever, when you're half asleep watching the game over here, Jamesy comes on and he makes that little short run, and you go, "There's Jamesy," straight away. It's just he's got such a different running style that it's just so obvious that he just stands out to you, and you're like, "Oh, Jamesy's on." If you didn't see the sub, like I had that happen at one point during a previous game. Went to the toilet, come back, and I go, "Oh, Jamesy's on. Look at him running." There you go. Just just a silly little thing for me, but yeah, I just love seeing how we can rotate the squad. No Yang, no Palmer. So Robert Gibson hasn't put it in the comments at all today. Anything? Did you see on Thursday's pod last week, Shane, what I did?
Yes.
Because I've got this on the ticker now. I'm going to start getting like quotes from the comments. So if you've got some sort of quote you want brought up on there, make sure you get something funny in the comments, and I'll chuck my best to get it up there at some point during the show.
I'll vote for the Hail, Hail, my upside down chums. I'll see if you can get that on the ticker.
If I can write it upside down, I'll give it a shot, but I've got to try and figure it out. Yeah, so overall, Shane, we'll just finish off. We spoke about the goals, controversial moments. We spoke about the rest. So player focus. Anyone you want to talk about?
Oh, you could throw a blanket over a couple of them in terms of their quality and performance. The one I'm probably going to highlight for me is actually Kyogo, because he probably doesn't get the plaudits like Maeda and Kun and even Kalmak and Engels and Hatate. I thought in that setup, Kyogo worked really hard. He was dropping deep into midfield. He was dropping deep to try and draw. And this sort of ties into the discussion earlier about the movement. So the movement of the midfield, but also the movement of our players in the front third that were causing Aberdeen and dragging their players out of position and sort of causing them they couldn't really get into a set formation, really. They were getting dragged out of position and moved and shifted very easily. And Kyogo's really vital to that. And he was sort of leaning on the midfield space that was sort of being created when the midfielders would drop a little bit deep. He was dropping into that space that they were almost leaving. He was dragging the centre halves out. He got clattered a couple of times, got straight back up on his feet. But even when he was getting clattered, like, he's really important to that fourth goal, or is it the fifth goal? I think it might be the fifth goal. He actually drops deep, gets on the ball, gets clattered, and that's the one that we eventually score from where Engels plays it out to Kun. But it was also early on in the piece, he actually gets the yellow card for Rubezic. Rubezic goes through the back of him. He's on an early yellow. All of a sudden, he can't go in as much as he probably would, particularly as we seem to be playing a little bit more counter-attacking, getting the balls over the top, getting in behind before they could set up. He all of a sudden couldn't go in because he's going to get sent off. So I thought he worked incredibly hard. I was glad to see that he got his goal in the end. Credits Maeda for finding him. But throughout his time on the pitch, he worked really, really tirelessly and deserved a lot of credit.
Yeah, for me, I just want to touch on the work our fullbacks did. Like, our centre backs will get all the love and everything for the, keeping a solid platform and everything. But I just thought, with Valle coming in, he's like that old school up and down the wing, just working hard, left back, and then it's a balance to what AJ does on the right. And by having those guys just working as hard as they do, it allows guys like Kun and Maeda to just do their job, presses just as hard, because they know they've got someone to cover them behind. So every other player on the field, pretty much, we've spoken about the midfield, we spoke about our strikers, centre backs, we already started with them. So I just wanted to talk about those guys and just give them a bit of love, because, yeah, they're the only ones we haven't really spoken about or anything so far this game, Shane, so on this pod. So, yeah, I thought I'd, give them a bit of a love there. The other one is Kasper Schmeichel. I think he made one save for the game. He could have been sitting back there in a bloody camp chair doing some knitting or something like that, pouring a cup of tea, whatever. He had bugger all to do. And the one save that he had to make, he didn't even have to step off his line. It was just take one step forward, pick up the ball. That was it.
Well, he didn't just pick up the ball. He did the old lean forward and cradle it as well, which elicited a little bit of a cheer as well, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But just on the fullbacks, I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, and I've been really impressed with Vaya. And AJ's been in tremendous form lately, and pretty much all season. But what seemed to be very noticeable on the weekend is that, particularly in the first half, they really kept their width. they really weren't coming inside. I wasn't seeing AJ even pick up those sort of inside channels as much as he normally does. And I'm not even talking about necessarily that kind of full inverting, but sometimes getting inside the two wingers. The fullbacks were really staying wide, trying to really widen the pitch and drag the Aberdeen players away, the ones marking them, so there was more space inside.
You remember Rogers' first stint, Shane, and he'd had Lustig on one side, Tierney on the other, and they would stay out and hug the sidelines, which would then allow Paddy Roberts on the right to get the ball and run inwards. So left-footed right winger coming in, and then Sinclair doing the same from the left, coming in onto his right foot. So it puts more pressure in on the centre backs. That's what we saw on the weekend. That's why Kun was running at people. That's why Maeda was ended up in the areas on the pitch he ended up into to banging his goals. So yeah, it's good to see. So what we're gonna do here? Yeah. So with Big Dom was like, I would like us to buy Valle if we can. Michael Ross has responded to that, saying heard he wants to return to Barca. Now, there's a £3 million release clause in his contract from what we've heard. We wanted to get him on loan with an option to buy. He didn't want with an option to buy. So you never know. At the end of the season, he may be like, yeah, I love my time in Glasgow. I want to stay there, make it permanent, and then we just activate his release clause.
If he's keen to stay, I'd absolutely have him. I've been really impressed with him since he came in. He had that first game, I think it was against Falkirk, and there was a little bit of, I'm not too sure. But since then, he's been very solid. And to come in at the weekend in a semi-final cup tie as the preferred left back, and as you were talking about the width, keeping that width, keeping on the touchline, he did that really well. And I love the quality that he brings when he goes forward. So yeah, I'd be definitely keen to keep him around if we could. So hopefully we can sway him. I'm sure Glasgow has plenty to offer in comparison to Barcelona. Someone tell me, but I'm sure there is. I don't know what. Someone can tell me, but
Shane, we have a question here for you from Michael Ross. Is he laughing at my avatar? I put that picture up on the screen before and you just started laughing, so I assumed that's what it was.
I can't. I have extremely short-term memory loss. I can't remember if I was laughing at the avatar or not. I don't think I was, Michael, but it is a cool avatar.
Oh, come on now, just play along.
I can't even remember what I just said 3 minutes ago, mate. So you have to run with it.
I'll get on the walkie-talkie to you then and tell you. So yeah. So who was your man of the match, Shane?
It was hard to pick until he scored his third goal. Really, if he'd stayed with the brace, I genuinely would have found it more difficult to choose. But can't go past a hat trick in a cup semi-final, so it's got to be Dyson Maeda. He was tremendous, and just not only that, like obviously he scores a hat trick, he gets an assist for the Kyogo goal, but his work rate, he just sets the example, and it's an example that Kun is basically taking upon himself as well. Both of them track back ridiculously hard on the weekend. Nicky Devlin won't be able to sleep. Nicky Devlin will be having nightmares about Dyson Maeda for the next 2 years. That poor bugger is going to be just scarred from that performance. Every time he goes out, he'll look behind him, see Dyson's there or not. Like, he absolutely rattled him. And he just sets the standard. And you can see what Kun does on the right-hand side all of a sudden, and he's tracking back. He's getting deep. So it's that work rate combined with the 3 goals and the assist. You can't go past Dyson.
100%. And the best meme I've seen after the game was a picture of Nicky Devlin getting in his car, looking in the mirror, and there's Dyson on the back seat. Like, that's some quality shit right there. So,
honestly, if he gets back on the road back to Aberdeen, don't be surprised if Dyson's outside. He looks in the side mirrors and Dyson's outside on the freeway chasing him down. He's that fast, and he's been at him all day. Don't be surprised.
There's probably some Aberdonian there going, I need help wrangling my sheep up here. Where's Dyson? And get him to come chase down him, run down a whole pack of them. Had to. So there's just some rumours going around at the moment, like Celtic has extended its contract with Adidas for another 5 years is what I've heard. I've also heard 3 years somewhere along there. So Best part is our new kits are going to be individually designed for the club since we're going up to that elite club tier, which is great. So the rumours floating around already is that we're going to have a green tartan pattern on the hoops next season. And above all else, looks like the Bumblebee, if it's what you're hearing is true, it's the Bumblebee is going to be coming back. I'm going to be poor again. I'm going to have to buy more tops. Jeez. Exchange rate's killing me.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
It's great that that's happening, and yeah, you never go wrong with the Bumblebee. What's your thoughts, Shane?
I'm totally on board with the Bumblebee kit. I'm looking forward to that making a return. But I'm actually really excited about the home kit potentially having the tartan theme to it. So I'm actually wearing the home kit tonight from the 18-19 season. Now, this is the one where they sort of had as you can see on the arms, the broken hoops. But there was a very sort of subtle kind of tartan theme to it, if you will, running through sort of top to bottom on the shirt. And it's something I'd like to see us do. It's you can't tell on camera, and it's very, very subtle. Unless you actually got the shirt, you can't really see it. But it's something that I did actually like when I first bought it, and I'm actually keen to see how this idea evolves. I'd like to see a little bit of a tartan theme run through the home kit. I'm really bullish about that, to be honest, more than the Bumblebee, and just keen to see what they actually produce.
All I've got to say, Shane, is as long as it looks good and it doesn't make it look crap, because there was
Mm.
also that wide away one, the one we had the wide away with the green shorts, and it had like that tartan pattern on it as well. I bought that one thinking it looked nice on the players, and then I got it and looked at it and I go, that looks like a tea towel. Seriously, the pattern, every time I look at it now, I've worn it a couple of times, but every time I look at it, I'm like, looks like a tea towel, can't wear it. So as long as it's a good tartan and it works and it's done in a nice way, I'm happy with that. But yeah, you can tell I'm a fan of the Bumblebee. Whenever you see the Pot Noodle thumbnail on the YouTube channel, look at the color scheme. There's the reason for it.
It's a good kit. You can't go past it, and if they nail it, it's a favorite amongst everybody, right?
I'm going to do this to pipe down, toots. There you go. There you go, Michael Ross. Will any of you guys buy the clip-on wings Adidas are planning for Bumblebee kit?
If it
Hey,
gets me a little bit taller, sure.
Shane. That's why he had to adjust his chair before everyone. He was almost fell over and was going to have a cuddle of it on the floor like he did at the CSC that time.
This one's got arms, so it's a bit harder to fall off this one.
Fair enough. So, yeah, we'll just roll on into Tuesday night, 7 a.m. Wednesday morning for us, Champions League game against RB Leipzig at home. So, general thoughts heading into the game, Shane. What are you thinking? Because I've got some interesting stuff bouncing around my head.
Well, general thoughts are coming off that 6-0 result. It's hard not to go in with a bit of confidence, but then you sort of remember it's European nights, and we don't exactly have the best track records against sort of the bigger clubs, if you will. I use that sparingly. I don't really put them in the same category as Dortmund or anything like that. Their Champions League form, they are below us. They haven't won yet, but if you actually look at who they've lost to, I think it's Atletico Madrid, Juventus, and Liverpool. So, if you're going to lose to three teams in the Champions League, they're not exactly the worst teams to lose to. I can't remember if they're sort of equal top or at least second. They're definitely at least second in the Bundesliga at the moment.
I'll give you some info here. So on the weekend, they lost 2-1 to Dortmund.
Yeah.
Dortmund had 20 shots, 7 on target. Leipzig, 7 shots, 3 on target. Possession stats were 56%, 44%. A lot of fouls, a couple offsides, no corners. But then when you look at the table, which is what you're talking about, Bayern Munich's on top. 3 points behind them is Leipzig. And then third is Frankfurt, then Leverkusen, then Dortmund's in fifth. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
They've only got a goal difference of 10, though, in the league, and they've only scored 15 goals across 9 games, so they're not prolific by any stretch.
No, they don't. A lot of their games are like 2-1. or whatever. There's a lot of, I was having a look at it, but McLaughlin's saying his part here. Bring the German pricks on. And he follows it up with revenge. So it'll be a interesting one. RL77 is saying, if I can get this thing to work, here we go. A draw with Leipzig would be a decent result and leave us in a good place with upcoming games. That's the thing. If we pick up a point in this, we're set up nicely. If we can somehow win it, we are flying. So, yeah, for me going into the game, I'm thinking it's possible that we could pick up the points. I think a lot's going to depend on what our tactics are and what we try and do here. But the home games are where we've got to try and pick up points where we can. And I wouldn't be fearful of Leipzig. At the same time, they want to show them the appropriate amount of respect because they're second in the Bundesliga. But then they need to show us the appropriate amount of respect too when we go out to play football against them, because we've got just as many players who can put the ball in the net and cause them hassles. So it's going to be an interesting one. So Shane, what do you think our game plan will be for this match? Will we be looking to play our usual high pressing style like we did against Aberdeen? Or do you think we're going to be more cautious and play with 2 6s like we did against Atalanta?
I think there's going to be a little bit of pragmatism. I know they don't seem to score heavily, or haven't at least scored heavily in the Bundesliga, but I just sense, whilst we're still finding our feet in Europe to a degree, that Brendan is going to look to be a bit more sort of pragmatic, particularly maybe as we try and work our way into the game. I can see us maybe just easing our way in, trying to see how we go. And then, depending on how things go, maybe open up a little bit towards a little bit further later on. But I can see us sort of leaning more into that Atalanta mold, maybe not to the same degree. I think there'll be a bit more attacking flair there. I don't think you can kind of sit deep and just totally absorb, particularly not at Celtic Park against Leipzig. I think we will have a little bit of a go, but a cautious go.
I'm trying to give you more at the time to say your piece on this, and I'm just going to give the little comment here, comment there, because I'm recording a podcast with Justin from the RBL Talk, which is Leipzig's podcast, tomorrow. So we'll do a preview on the game with him, discussing it from both teams' point of view. So I'll give my opinion a bit more on that. But yeah, what I'm thinking, Shane, is I think we'll play with that pragmatism like we did in Atalanta, but we're not going to be going in there and just trying to absorb all that pressure. We're going to be like the puncher's chance. If they throw a couple, we throw one back. They throw a couple, we throw one back. And by throwing one back, that's us hitting them on the counter with our speed. And the precision and the speed that we played on the counter at times against Aberdeen, if we can do that, I know it's a higher standard of opponent, but if we can do that and take our chances like we did on the weekend, we're flying. We're a chance in this one to get the win.
And you can't help but be confident going into it. You can't have the result and performance that we saw on Saturday and have the vast majority of that team probably start against Leipzig and not feel like we could actually jag a result. Look, I'm not usually one to be quite bullish about our European performances, but I'm genuinely looking at this going, we can win this. Not even, I take a point would be great, but I genuinely think we can win this.
I'd settle for a point. Yeah, let's just have a go at it. Let's try and get a win here. So, yeah, I just was going to ask you, Shane, what areas of our play do you think will have the biggest impact on us getting the points in the match? I'll tell you, for me, I think it's going to be our ability to get the ball out to the wing and counter-attack quick. I think that's what it'll be for me.
Yeah, I think for me, I always tend to lean on taking opportunities. So we talked about earlier in the pod about how we were clinical against Aberdeen, and you need to be clinical in Europe when you do get your opportunities. And I think against a team like Leipzig, we can actually create a few. Those half chances need to become gilt-edged. Some of those half chances need to go in or force a save. And I think as long as we can actually do that and make sure that we are taking our chances, we are a good chance to win. But I also think the midfield, because your midfield, and I don't mean it in the sense of the midfield needs to get control, but I mean it more from a defensive perspective. So if your back four's under pressure, you're going to need your midfield to work overtime to try and alleviate that pressure. I'm not talking about outlet balls, but actually making sure there's options there, making sure they're getting on the ball where they need to, and actually just giving you back for a bit of a rest. Now, if we can make sure that we get at least some sort of control in the midfield and then take our chances up top when we get them, I think we're every chance to win.
So basically, what you're saying is our midfield need to be in the right places defensively. So when our centre backs in particular clear any crosses or whatever coming in, the secondary ball falls to us instead of falling to them. Because in the Dortmund game, it fell to them. In Atalanta game, the ball fell to us and we were able to clear it. So you're wanting a bit more of that.
Yes, absolutely. That more of that pragmatism.
So for me, I just think, yeah, you pretty much covered anything else I was going to say. So I was going to say, what do you think were the key areas of focus? But you just said that'll be the midfield. So I think the key thing for us is going to be keeping our shape and knowing when to press, when to hold back. It's going to be about knowing what situations, what our triggers are, and attacking it well and doing it well. Go quick, go hard if we're going to. Otherwise, keep our shape. Make it difficult to play against them. Andrew Galea was saying that I think both teams will play with 2 6s and stand off each other a bit. It might come down to individual moments. If it does come down to the individual moments there, Andrew, I back our players. Like I think we've got enough there, players who can make shit happen. Like you got Kun, you got Maeda, you got Kyogo. You've got plenty of players there that can make stuff happen if you get a chance. So yeah, it's going to be interesting there. So Shane, you expecting it to be a high scoring match?
No, I'm not. I'm expecting a 2-1 either way, basically. I don't see them. They look pretty tight defensively just based on their league record. They don't seem to score an awful lot from what I can tell. So I'm expecting a pretty low scoring match. I still think there'll be goals for either team. I don't see either team keeping a clean sheet. So it's going to be 2-1 either way.
Yeah, I was going to say I think we'll win 2-1. McLaughlin here is going all out. Take a 4-1 win all day long. 100%, mate. If that happens, imagine the odds you get on that at the bookies. There you go.
Yep.
So, will you be keeping the same starting lineup that just played against Aberdeen, Shane, or would you be expecting Bernardo, Taylor, or Scales, any one of those three to come back into the starting lineup?
I really liked what I saw from our back four, so I'd be sticking with them. For me, it comes down to our front third. I thought were excellent, and Kyogo's a big game player, so I wouldn't be swapping him out for either at all. I think it comes down to me whether you bring Hatate in for Bernardo in for Hatate. My apologies, or whether you stick to that. If we're talking pragmatic, I can see Bernardo getting a start ahead of Hatate. Just because of that kind of dropping deep, getting control of the ball before you actually play out and having that sort of, as you said, those secondary balls and getting control of them instead of letting Leipzig getting control of them. But I can also make a case for Hatate if we're actually going to play with a bit of flair straight away and try and take the game to them early. So I'm a little bit undecided. If it was me, I'm going to be a little bit daring, and I'm going to stick with the same starting 11.
The only thing for me, you touched on pretty much all of the questions there, Shane. The only thing is Brendan seems to love Bernardo in Europe. And if we're going to be trying to play against a big, tall German team that are athletic, Brendan's always talking about wanting size and power. Well, that's where I'd expect Bernardo to probably come in for Hatate, and that'd be the only change from the weekend, just for that reason only. And then imagine if you can wear them out and then bring Hatate on in the form he was been on for that last 30 minutes of a game and just tear it apart. Hopefully set up the game winner to make it a 2-1 win or whatever it is. Could be interesting. Andrew Galea is making a point here as well, saying Hatate does more than people give him credit for. He wins back the ball, plenty of the ball. Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
McLaughlin's saying Ida for Kyogo. That's the only change I can see, maybe. Yeah, it could happen.
Depends how we're going to go forward. It depends a little bit in terms of how we're going to play as well.
Sorry, Shane, I just read McLaughlin's comment here that I'm not gonna bring on the screen.
I
It
just
says,
read. I just read it too.
"Atade is only getting it in the net because people can't moan about at scales anymore." So true. That is spot on.
When I love Kyogo and what he brings to big games, and I thought we saw it in the cup semi against Aberdeen. Whether or not he's a little bit sort of physically fatigued or not, I don't know. He got clattered a couple of times by their centre halves. So they were kicking lumps out of him a little bit. I don't know if he pulled up completely okay. I didn't see anything to suggest he didn't, but you never know with these things. Keep them sort of quiet a little bit. But I see Kyogo, starting like ahead of Ida, and then having Ida come on where we need to, as opposed to the other way around.
I think our speed's the key point there. Like, Ida's great, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's going to come down to speed on the counter. And, like, yeah, Kyogo was grabbing his shoulder after getting clattered by, I'm just getting the guy's name. What's his name here?
Oh, the centre
Silla.
half.
No, Mo Silla at Dundee.
Oh, yep, yep.
He was sore after that, and then he got clattered a few more times against Aberdeen. So I don't think we have to worry about him getting clattered as much. But yeah, it's one of them ones where if Ida comes in, he'll do the job, but it'll be a thankless task for him where you'd expect him to come in and just get the ball, hold it up, be an out ball. I'd rather have Kyogo start and then say, if you need Ida to come on, if we're 2-0 up or something like that, trying to hang on to that win with 5 minutes to go, get him to just take it to the corner and just hold it off and let him kick lumps out of him because he loves doing that. So, yeah, it's going to be one. It's an interesting one, but yeah, I just think the only change would probably be Bernardo in for Hatade. That's about it. Even though I think Hatade should keep his spot.
It'll be interesting to see how they set up because I imagine, not knowing them too well, but I imagine they'll be looking to get their first win. Will they be sitting off us a bit? Will they be too worried about the counter attack that they won't put numbers forward? Are they going to actually try and hit us on the counter a little bit here? It's going to be an interesting dynamic. I think you've got a team that probably expects to be doing a bit better in Europe than what they are. And we're coming off a pretty incredible result, all things said, and performance. And we're looking to get our European campaign, which it's arguably back on track after the Atalanta result, but really back on track. And these home performances are important. We can't be dropping points at home, and really we can't be dropping points at home to Leipzig if we want to progress any further. And don't discount just how important that Parkhead crowd is going to be as well, because when it comes down to sort of those, it was mentioned earlier, the individual moments, and you back our players to win the individual moments. I back our players in front of a raucous Parkhead on a Champions League night to win those moments. Absolutely.
So I was just looking at something, and when Leipzig's been playing at home in the league against like the lower ranked teams like the St. Pauli and other clubs, they played a 3-4-3. When they're playing Dortmund, they're playing a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
So that's what they've been doing. I've just gone back through 4 different things. But here's a top story for you. Bundesliga News in English has put this up 2 hours ago. Leipzig confirm investigation into alleged Nazi salute in stadium. There you go. Now I see why nobody likes him in German football, other than
Well,
because of the fan ownership thing. There you
probably
go.
a fewer, probably another reason to add to the list, right?
Yep. So Shane, what's your score prediction? I think we've pretty much all said 2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. I'm going Maeda and Kyogo to get our 2 goals.
I'm thinking Baumgartner will score for them, and then we will equalise pretty quickly off the back of that with Kun to Kyogo for the goal, and then later on in the game, yeah, I'm saying Hatade is going to come off the bench and he's going to score the winner. There you go. If he's copping in the neck, I'll put my neck out for you, Hatade. Make it happen, Rio. So I mentioned earlier, I'm doing a podcast tomorrow, so I'll release that on the channel some point, probably around lunchtime in Scotland time on Tuesday, a preview heading into the game with Justin from RBL Talk for the Leipzig podcast, so we'll have a bit of a chat about that. But yeah, other than that, Shane, I think it's time we go to our final thoughts. Have you got one ready, or should I jump in first?
No, I've got one ready. So The Cure released a new album. Songs of a Lost World, first album in 16 years. It was released on Friday. I've given it a couple spins already, and it is absolutely tremendous. Like, in all honesty, I'm prone to hyperbole when I talk, but this really is a very good album. It's quality, it's atmospheric, it's everything you want from a Cure album and more. And it sounds like it's been crafted over 16 years, and it's a wonderful listen. So if you like Cure, you're absolutely going to love this album. So Songs of a Lost World, check it out.
My final thought is I just want to give a shout out to Celtic B team player Liam Bonateg, who's been called up to the Young Socceroos squad. It's good to see the Celtic and Australian connection happening yet again. So go on, Liam. Do well, mate. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next pod. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.